The Drug Alternative Program presents Drugs Close to Home. Your weekly insight into the ongoing stories of struggle, victory, and the spiritual renewal of rehabilitation. Each week, Cliff and Freddie Harris, co-founders of the Drug Alternative Program, would like to introduce you to the many people who have touched their lives through their spirit-filled ministry. But most of all, they would like to share with you the blessings they continue to receive from Jesus Christ. And now, your hosts of Drugs Close to Home, Cliff and Freddie Harris.
Welcome to Drugs Close to Home, a program about the destruction that drugs cause our families.
And the power of Jesus Christ that heals them. We believe every life is worth saving.
And Freddie, that is so true, because every changed life is a miracle from God.
Amen.
You know, before we get to our guest right now, I want to talk a little bit about you, Freddie. And you guys, Freddie, you know what she does? She really takes care of me. When I came in the bathroom the other morning, and there was my shaver was right there, my razor, and a new tube of toothpaste. When my soap runs out, I walked in the bathroom, and I said, you know, this girl really loves me. And I appreciate those special things that you do for me, Freddie. You are a blessing from Jesus. Do you hear me?
You're welcome. You're my king.
All right, and you treat me like I'm the king, too. But
Amen.
you know what? You are my queen.
Thank you.
And anyway, our guest today is Justin. And Justin, I want you to tell us a little bit about your life. Tell me, how did you start when you got into drugs? Bring that to us.
But first, Justin is a client in Drug Alternative Program.
Okay, Freddie.
We have to tell the audience that.
We forgot to let our audience know that.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so I had a pretty good childhood. I wouldn't blame my childhood necessarily for that, but I did have my own issues, and I'd say one of the biggest issues that really made me use drugs was my self-esteem. That's one of the highlights that I've worked on while I've been in the Drug Alternative Program, was the confidence in myself and my self-esteem. And I have a twin brother that I compared myself to a lot growing up.
Okay.
And he's better at me than a few things, and I'm better at him than a few things too. But I never looked at what I was better at, and I always compared myself to him, and not just him, other people too. It's just an issue that I have. And
Okay.
How old were you when you started doing drugs?
I started using drugs when I was about 15, 16. It really picked up when I started to drive.
What was your drug of choice?
It started out with marijuana, and like I said, when I started to drive when I was 16, that's when it was all the time. Anytime I could get away from the house, I had a joint rolled up, ready to smoke on the road.
That was me too. Same thing. I couldn't go to work unless I had a job.
Yeah, and so I was going to school every morning that way. At lunchtime, I would leave, go get food, and get high, and get high after lunch, twice on lunch break.
Yeah.
As soon as I get out of school on my way home, you know, any opportunity. And then I got a fake ID when I was about 18 that said I was 21, and I looked just like the guy. And that kind of opened a new door, because the alcohol did a little more for me than the marijuana did.
Well, tell us, what was the most devastating thing that you feel you have done in your life that, hey, you don't want nobody to know about it, you don't want to talk about it, don't want to bring it up, you want to hide that away?
My stealing, I'm pretty ashamed of.
Okay.
There were a few items that took me to be in the Drug Alternative Program, my stay here, to actually confess to my parents and my brother that I stole, because I continually lied to them and told them I didn't steal it. And
hold on a minute. You're saying we all have done that, but let's get deeper. What did you steal? What was the purpose of you stealing? Let's get right on down with it.
Well, the purpose of my stealing was to get money for alcohol and drink and whatever, drugs, pills, because I wasn't working. I was too irresponsible to work. I blew all my student loans on the chemicals too, but when that ran out, I had to steal. And A few of the big ones were my brother had a blower that was, you know, he had spent a lot of money on, and he had kept it in the garage, and I pawned it, and I couldn't get it back out, and I kept lying to him over and over. No, I didn't. Somebody must have stole it out of the garage, and I got to the point where I lied to about it so many times that to confess would have been, you know, like that would be admitting to 100,000 lies that I had already said. Another one was my dad had a computer that his boss had given him for his work, and I felt like confessing to that would have been a pretty big one because it would have jeopardized his work, you know, my reputation with his boss, and I couldn't come to grips with confessing on that one. So I did tell my dad about stealing that computer while I was in the drug alternative program. I told my brother about the blower.
Since you were here in drug alternative program.
There were some sentimental items that were real difficult too for me. Like my dad, he collects silver, and when my granddad passed, he gave everybody in the family a silver dollar of the year that he was born. Well, I pawned that one and couldn't get it back out. And it was, I mean, I felt ashamed, but just to be able to confess that, it was really hard for me because of what it meant. And it just, I didn't want anybody to think, you know, wow, that's how low I got. I would pawn anything, and I would take anything. I would go through any drawer, any closet. There was nothing sacred in any room that I ever stayed in, or any house that I stayed in.
In other words, it was almost like everybody in the household had to keep an eye on their belongings or whatever in the household. And that was the same thing with me, you know. Sisters, neighbors, my children, anybody, you know, everything had to be protected because of what we do. And we know all of these things are going on in our lives, but we continue to do it to cover up the pain and the hurt that we go through in stealing and hurting the family members in our lives.
And my grandfather was a pretty big influence to me, so. And he was just the nicest man, so it really hurt my family to know that I would ever steal from him. And when I was living with them, he did so much for me just to start with by letting me live with him and giving me chance after chance after chance. And one time he bought me a guitar for Christmas that he spent a lot of time watching the infomercial, calling the people, you know, because that takes time to place the order and everything. And when that guitar came, it wasn't, to me, as good as the one I already had, and it wouldn't tune the way I ended up selling it and pawning it, and my mom and family were furious because of how shamelessly I did it. And he had also bought a Kirby vacuum cleaner from me once when I got a job doing that.
Wait a minute.
He wanted to help me out.
Wait a minute. Don't even say the word vacuum cleaner, because I remember a time my ex-wife would keep the vacuum cleaner. She would put it in the trunk of her car, lock the car up, not to have it in the house, because I would take it and pawn it. I tried to break in the car to get the vacuum cleaner out the trunk of the car from the back seat.
For $20.
And this
I didn't get $15 for it when I pawned it.
And this vacuum cleaner cost what, $1,000?
The Kirby cost $1,500, and that was a big once again, a big sacrifice that my granddad made to help me when I got that job. And then for me to just pawn it, I pawned it like 5 or 6 times, and 3 or 4 of those times my grandma had to ride with her to the pawn shop while she got it out because she just couldn't let it go. She couldn't see it be gone.
Right.
And she hardly even used it. She had another one she liked better, but it was the sentimental. That's where I got to the point where there was nothing sentimental, nothing sacred. I just took it.
Not caring about no one but ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's the way we were as addicts. We're very selfish people. Don't think of no one else. It's all about me and what I want and how I want to get it and what I want to do with it. And if you challenge me on it, then I really get angry and blame you.
Did you go into any programs?
I've been to a few programs. This is my 5th one, I believe. One of them I went to twice. Most of those were about 30-day programs, so they were rather short, which is one of the reasons I know this program has helped. And I was really reluctant to come out to drug alternative program.
Why were you reluctant?
Because when I saw 12 to 18 months, I said, no, I just graduated college.
Oh, you graduated college. Tell us about college.
Well, I finally graduated college back at home. It actually took me 10 years by the time I started. I graduated in high school in 2001 and I graduated college in 2011, but I was in and out of classes, in and out of jobs and relationships. And
What did you get a degree in?
And well, I wanted to get a degree in the education program, but what happened is I was all the way at the student teaching, where I had pretty much taken all my courses. All the hours were done. I just was in the field, and you know, I was irresponsible, showing up late, hungover, smelling like alcohol. I wasn't doing my assignments. I wasn't, like Mr. Harris says, handling my business.
Right.
It's a common phrase thrown out there. And so they said, you know, we can't let you do this. We'll give you another shot next year. So I did the same thing the next year, and it's not like baseball. It was 2 strikes, and that's it. They were like, you can't graduate at all here at this university in this department. They're like, you might as well check with the academic advisors and see if you can get something. So I got a general studies degree, but
In other words, they were saying to you, go away.
go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to the business department. I took 3 of their courses, and the university has a general studies degree that they've kind of formulated for people like me and have hours, and you know, it's something to put on the wall. But
Well, what made you really want to come to DAP?
I had no option. I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't want to come. I mean, I'll be honest with you. But I did want help. I wanted help. I wanted to change. But I ran out of options. I had no one else that trusted
You know,
me.
there's one thing about us addicts, and I want to say this. We want to change, but we don't want to go through what it takes to get that change, to make that change in our lives. Because we really don't want to leave the drug. That's the key. That's the real reason why we do what we do, because I don't want to leave the drug. I know this makes me feel comfortable. I feel good about this. And so I don't want to give that up. Well, look, what we want to do is we're going to take a break right now. And we want to come back and we'll want to see where you are now, what you're doing now. And I want you to tell us, how do you feel about drug alternative program? Has it helped you? Has it done anything for you? Those kinds of things. So we'll be right back.
The daily spiritual aspect of DAP is that we have worship every morning, and we get in touch with our Heavenly Father, and we keep that throughout the day. And it taught me to do that on a daily basis, that you can't have a relationship with anybody unless you communicate with them on a regular basis, and DAP has taught me that.
When I first came to a drug alternative program, I knew this was the program for me because I could see the spirituality from the very beginning in all that they were showing us, you know, from the worship in the morning, from breakfast, prayer, the lessons that we do, and the afternoons with the groups. We start off with prayer, so God is in everything in this program.
Well, being able to wake up every morning and just sing a couple songs of praise and have prayer with the guys and do a little Bible study, it just starts you off on the right track throughout the day. It starts you off just with joy, and it allows you to have a good day throughout the whole day.
I understand that what God did through His power and through His will, for me, that it's something that He wanted me. He prepared me, I guess, for this, and I try to understand that, because never in my wildest dreams that I thought I would be in a program like this.
My life before I got to DAP, I was out in the street. I was trying to hustle. I was probably hurting other people, and I wasn't even going to, God was not even in the picture in my life then. But as soon as I came to DAP, God was introducing my life again. I've been going to worship every day. We go to church every Saturday, and I've learned new things from the people that I live with, how they do things, how they pray. And before we go to work, we all gathered around and pray. Before we go to sleep, that was not my habit before. I've never think about God at all when I was out there.
What encourages me by seeing such a great network of supporters is the fact that these supporters and donors don't know us, but they believe in the program. They believe in us as individuals, and they don't know us. And that encourages me that here is people out there in this community, whether here locally or abroad, and they believe in this program. They've seen this program produce successful people over the years, and they're willing to give their time and their money and support to this program, and that's very encouraging to me.
Not only is it just helping us with money, but it also changed lives, and it shows, it gives us the opportunity to give back, because once you, like they say, pay it forward, and once, you know, we see someone pay forward to us, it opens up our heart, and most definitely changed my heart to want to pay forward to someone else, to see someone else come through the doors the same way I came through and be changed as I came through the doors and was changed.
Well, all the different things that I would like to share that I see the donors doing, and I've been involved with DAP for 15 years, and I've seen a lot that the donors have contributed to many lives, allowing men to get their relationships back with their families. By them donating to DAP, they allow us to grow spiritually, physically, mentally, with the counselors who are able to come because they can afford to have good counselors because of the donations. The equipment that we have that we're able to get out and work and to help pay for the stay here in DAP.
My name is Pierre Jackson.
My name is Duncan Yangao.
My name is Marshall Davis.
My name is Savas Leon.
My name is Leonard Walsh.
My name is Frank Celis.
My name is Brian Brockway.
I was born in the Philippines.
I was born in Watsonville, California.
I'm from Florida.
I'm from Hesperia, California.
I'm from South Bend, Indiana.
I'm from Seattle, Washington.
I am a client at Drug Alternative Program.
I'm Tracy Wise, and I'm from Clarksdale, Mississippi, and I'm a graduate of the Drug Alternative Program.
Welcome back. We're talking to our client, Justin Hansen from Dallas, Texas.
All the way from big Texas.
This segment, Justin, we want to talk about you and Drug Alternative Program. So tell us what Drug Alternative Program has done for you.
Where do I start?
How did you feel when you first came to Drug Alternative Program?
When I first came here, I was kind of excited because I was, you know, away from home and kind of gone through a little honeymoon of being out here in California. But then the work started to kick in. The work about what I needed to do to myself and the things that I was doing. I was still stealing. I was still lying. I remember one time when I took the granola bar and an apple something out of the cupboard, and we called my dad. We had a big group on it, but you know that made it. Yeah, it was when I first got it. It made it, but it made it a big impact, and it told me I'm still doing the same thing. It's just I'm not stealing the same stuff for not the same reason, but I'm still stealing. And I had a lot of resentments. That carried its way a lot throughout the program, and I'm still working on that today. Mm-hmm. I know we don't like to use that word, still working on it, but...
yeah, you know, I don't like to hear you working on it. Yeah. It's about doing it.
But resentment was a big thing that I had with a lot of the clients that were in the houses because, you know, we were always butting heads. We were working together, sleeping in the same rooms together. It was like... And so there was a lot of clashing, and I carried a lot of resentments with other people's personality. They were bringing the same thing I brought, you know? Mm-hmm. And that was difficult for me. But as much as I didn't want to be here when I first got here, I love now the fact that I came. And it was the best thing I've ever done in my life. Beyond any education, any experiences, this has been the...
You know, one thing I noticed when you first got here, your self-esteem was very low. You didn't feel good about yourself, and that's what we want to do here, is to lift up your self-esteem and make you feel good about you. Because all the stuff that you stole, you feel all that shame, you feel down, and you don't have your drugs now to compensate for that. So here you are, way down here, mm-hmm. and you're not feeling good about yourself. But when you do a job, remember the job we did out there at Renee's and put that tree in, and I had you to dig it, and I said, I want you to fix this. You do it. You look at it. You design it and how you want it done. You remember that?
And the blocks, yeah.
Yes, and
I
put the
remember
block in, and I stepped back, and you did it. And how did you feel when you finished that job?
It made me feel good. It made me feel like, number one, that you trusted me to do it, which that felt good, because before no one ever really trusted me to do a job. They wanted to, you know, because is he drunk? Is it, you know, they just didn't have that trust. But you trusted me, and you kind of gave me the reins, and that made me feel good. And another thing that's made me feel good is handling my business. Because before I was irresponsible, I was always late to work. I showed up, you know, late to school. I was drunk, high, messed up, making mistakes. Now I can hold my head up high and look people in the eye because I'm showing up.
What time do you have to be at worship in the morning?
5:30.
And if you're what? And what if you're what? If you are late, what happens?
Discipline.
Yeah, there's going to be some discipline. So in other words, you have to be on time. We're teaching you now to be responsible for your responsibilities that you do every day, and that's to be on time for worship, be ready for work when you're supposed to. Don't have, you know, a lot of the guys, Freddie, they want to come back. Well, I forgot my lunch. Well, if you forget your lunch, you might not eat today.
But those little things about discipline make me feel good about myself, because when I lay my head down at night, I know I did what I needed to do throughout the day, and I didn't waste the day. When I wasted the days in the past, I'd go the whole day. Well, I'd sleep most of the day, but then the few hours that I was up, nothing was accomplished, and I never really felt like I did anything or was worth anything.
Okay, now you're on phase 5, which means you're getting ready for graduation. Now tell us what you have done since you've been on phase 5. What has been your accomplishments, and what is your goal?
Well, my goal is to teach again, so I'm right now in the process of planning of getting a master's at La Sierra. I've been working with some of the advisors over there and getting that started. I would like to start this spring, but if I can start this fall.
You can do it.
I'm
You
patient.
can start this spring.
I've learned patience. But and I also am working right now at AutoZone.
Right here in Grand Terrace.
Part-time, full-time,
Right.
able to save some money. And
Wait a minute, let me tell you this, Freddie. I want your audience to listen to this, okay? I went in the store one day, and the manager said to me, and nobody else was in the store. So she had given him the job. She knew that he was in the drug program. She knew all of that he was a drug addict. And what she said was to me, I'm thinking about he's being responsible. He comes to work on time. He takes care of his business. And guess what, Freddie? He was running the cash register.
Cash register.
Yes. They was trusting him enough to handle the money. Okay? And then she said to me was, I'm thinking about giving him the key to the store. The combination to open the store for their alarm. She was thinking about it. One morning he came to me and he had this little key and he's dingling this little key. And he says, Mr. Harris, I got the key to the store. We can go in there and we can get all the, anything we need for the trucks. We can get brake shoes. We can get anything we need. We can just get everything out of the store. And I'm standing there looking at him and he's like, I'm thinking, what do you mean?
He was teasing
And
you.
he was teasing me. And he was letting me know that she had finally gave him the key to the store.
That's right.
Now tell me, how did you feel about that?
it made me feel good. It made me feel trusted, which, like I said, I've never really had that, because all my other jobs I showed up late and was drunk, and they knew it.
And you just got a raise? How much raise did you get?
$2
$2 raise.
an hour. That's
$2.
That's
a
huge.
lot.
Yeah, they usually give you a quarter
25
or
cents.
50 cents.
Yeah, no, my first one was 15 cents, I think. But that was huge for me.
Right.
And so these little things, they boost my confidence and self-esteem, and they reassure me and tell me every day, this is what I need to be doing.
And you know, there's another thing that they do that they have given him since he's been down there. How long has he been working there?
Almost a year.
Almost a year?
March or April will be a year.
Yeah.
You haven't even been working there a year. And this past Christmas, she let him off for a whole week.
To go home.
To go home to Texas to visit his family for Christmas.
And there's people that have been there for years.
Amen.
That's a blessing.
From God,
and on
yeah.
top of that, Freddie, what about the Sabbath?
Yes, and I have the Sabbath off too. And that's amazing because that's a high, in retail, Saturday is your big day.
Right.
That's where most of the money comes in. And that's where all the people coming in too. So it's one of the most stressful days. Everybody wants Saturday off.
Right.
So for me to have Friday night and Saturday off for Sabbath is a huge blessing. And I'd love to give my manager credit. I wish she was here. You know, I give God all the credit, but she really, I think I've been a witness to her.
Yes.
I really believe I have. And, you know, I'll know one day whether I have, but.
You know, Justin, you've done very well. You know, you're working and you're getting ready to go back to school to get your master's in teaching, and you want to teach. Who do you want to teach?
Well, I like the junior high level. Another little blessing that I get right now is I get to volunteer tutor at Campus Hill Church.
Right, Campus Hill Church.
On Mondays and Wednesdays, I go at 5 o'clock to 6:30.
Right.
And I'm working with a couple young people right now, and it's a blessing. And really, to me, the younger they are, the bigger the blessing, because I feel like their brains are just absorbing it more. And,
right. And they need some good male teachers for a junior high school.
But I like the science content at about the 7th, 8th grade level. In the high school, it's a little more specific, and I think one day that might be a passion of mine, to do physics specifically. But I kind of like the broad because I like to touch it all. You know?
Right, right.
One thing I want to say, because we don't have very much time left, I see the difference, the change in you since you've been here at Drug Alternative Program.
Yes.
You feel better about yourself. You're more enthusiastic. You're more sociable. And you know, you don't have to be at worship every morning because you're here on Phase 5, but you're staying still in the recovery home. But you're always there every morning for worship. Well, every morning.
You know, you two have taught me that's what the alternative is.
Jesus Christ.
Is Jesus Christ. So without that, it would be like, what's the point? And that's the highlight of my day, really, is that morning time in the worship. And you know, both of you have taught me so much in discipline, how to say thank you, and you're great role models and examples to me.
Thank you, Freddie. This has been nice, and a good program. I'm glad to see that you are making some changes in your life. And I want you to continue to do that, okay? Now, we only have just a few more minutes, and we want to thank you for tuning in with us. And remember, we love you.
And Jesus loves you even more.